We're looking at a couple of left-handed holsters for the Glock family. We're starting out with a BladeTech outside the waist holster. This has a dropped offset mount here to drop the holster down from your waist a little bit more, kind of angles it out, makes it easier to get to if you're wearing body armor or something in the way there. Has this adjustable bracket on the back so you can adjust it for whatever thickness belt you're running, whether it be an inch, inch and a quarter, inch and a half, inch and 3/4, 2 inch. Some additional attachment points here. You can kind of adjust how the holster mounts onto the bracket if you want to adjust the cant a little bit on there, or the height of the holster. Has two tension screws right here. You can adjust how tight the holster is, whether you want the gun to be really stiff to get out so it's more retained, or you want a real loose, fast draw on it. The bottom of the holster here is beveled on the edges, so it's somewhat closed on the bottom. It's designed to be left-handed for a Glock 35 with a Surefire weapons light on there. I can show you what one of those looks in there. Kind of slides in, doesn't really have a detent or anything to snap into. It pretty much is just held in place by the tension of these two screws here. That's why if you want it really retained, if you're going to be doing a lot of high-speed stuff out in the sticks and you're running around, climbing hills, bouncing around, and you don't want the weapon to be coming out of the holster like this, you're pretty much only way to get around that is to tighten these two screws way up, so it makes it harder to get the weapon out, but you'll still be able to draw it if you get a real good hold on it and give it a good jerk and pull it out of there if you need to. Running the same holster with a Glock 23 with a Surefire weapons light on it. Putting it in there, the pistol still fits pretty securely. It's just a little bit shorter, but you can still get by running that holster with that setup in there if you had to. Next up is a Comptech outside the waist holster for a Glock 23. It actually curves around the edges here to curve around the front of the slide. So if you have a Glock that's a little bit longer, a full size or a target model, it won't stick through there unless you were to trim that bottom 1/8 of an inch off the holster if you really needed to. Same thing here, two tension screws to adjust the tightness of the holster. This holster is actually a one-piece design. Wraps around to the back, the top part folds over, curves in, and hooks onto the back of this top tension screw here to hold that in place. This is set up for an 1.5 inch belt to go through that slot right there. Has a little detent pushed into the trigger guard area right here, so when you slide the gun in, the trigger guard kind of pushes it out a little bit and then pops in place, so it kind of acts as a retention device to hold the weapon in place here. Sliding the Glock in, you can kind of hear it snap into place there. Holds it pretty securely. Turn the weapon over, it's not going to fall out of there. Exposed trigger guard up in here. It's cut out in the front, so you don't have to come up really high to clear the holster. Just come up so the barrel clears that part. Present it on target when you need it there. You can also run a Glock 27 in this same holster. Pops in the same way, locks into the detent. Barrel's a little bit shorter, but it still fits in the same holster if you need to use it there. And last up here we have a Raven Concealment Phantom holster. This one's a little bit wider than the previous holsters. They make it a little bit wider so it kind of breaks up the outline of the gun. They put more of a bevel to the edges here so you don't have more of a square blocky holster like the previous holster there. It's two pieces of Kydex hooked together with a number of rivets here. It's real thin Kydex, so it's flexible. These is set up with the pancake belt loops on it right now, so it holds it in real close to the body, tucks in, so it's easily concealable with just throwing a light shirt, a polo, a t-shirt, a dress shirt, or something like that over it. It conceals really well outside the waist. Definitely a lot better than a holster like this that's going to be real thick and stick out there quite a bit if you're going to put a shirt over it, and it's going to have big profiles where the shirt's draping around it in those areas like that. And then if you were to wear something like this outside the waist, this is definitely more of like a tactical outside the waist, a drop leg. You're definitely not going to be concealing this one on you. This is pretty sturdy. I've used this in a lot of matches. I carry one of these pretty much every day of the week. It's a real comfortable holster. Ever since I've got this Raven Concealment Phantom, I pretty much quit wearing all my other holsters, and they just kind of sit around in a box. So that's taking a look at a couple of left-handed holsters outside the waist for a Glock series.